Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Adrian from Rabona TV, and we've got more Champions League round of 16 matches to talk about. But first, I've got to get something off my chest. Last week, I failed you, and I've had to live with that feeling of regret ever since. Bear that cross. So to make up for it, again, I'm sorry. I hope you forgive me. And if you're new to this channel, no, this isn't a recorder tutorial channel. I regret to inform you. We're all about football. Well, with a little recorder playing now and then, admittedly. All right, let's get to it. Starting with Tuesday's matches in general and with Chelsea vs Barcelona in particular. So coming into this match, Chelsea were undefeated in their previous 7 Champions League matches against Barcelona, the last loss coming in 2008. And man, have they ever served up some absolute classic matchups.
For getting himself into further trouble.
I love that clip. Though this one wasn't necessarily a classic, as both teams were a bit pragmatic and the post was prevalent. The post was probably the top performer on the night actually, as Willian unleashed 2 lethal shots from range that cannoned off to the upright on both occasions. But the post couldn't hold him back forever. No man or metal can. And in the second half, he curled a shot into the bottom right corner. It continued to be a bit cagey from there and also seemed to awaken Barcelona a bit until the inevitable happened, an equalizer, which could only come from the Messiah himself, Lionel Messi. In his 9th match against Chelsea and from his 30th shot against them as well, in total of course, he finally scored against them. 730 minutes without a goal against the Blues. He finally broke his duck. What does that mean, by the way? I always hear that saying, I have no idea. And people like to say that he doesn't perform against English opposition. That was his 18th goal against an English opponent in the Champions League. That was also Messi's 61st goal in the Champions League from 122 appearances, putting him at exactly 1 goal every other match, every 2 matches, however you want to say it. So if you're Chelsea, I think the general feeling is that with a little more luck for Willian and a little more passing training for Andreas Christensen, he was largely at fault for the equalizer and had many misplaced passes on the day, then you come away from this one optimistic as to what your squad will be capable of at the Camp Nou. That being said, that's the same ground that Barcelona destroyed PSG 6-1 after losing 4-0 in Paris. UEFA Lona accusations aside, and you have to be wary. This is still Barcelona, and Messi showed you that if you make a mistake, you'll be punished. I mean, he spent most of the match beating players, getting surrounded by 3-4 players in Kante's pocket at times, etc., and had 0 attempts on goal before the gift. He's lethal. But you didn't need me to tell you that. I'll stick with my original prediction of Barcelona going through, but let's say Chelsea manages to score at the Camp Nou to make it even on away goals, to neutralize them. Things will get very sticky indeed. And things got very sticky for Besiktas very fast when Bayern hosted them on Tuesday, as Croatian international defender Vida tripped Lewandowski, who was in clear on goal. And yeah, he got a red card. It's not as if Besiktas laid down from there though, with Wagner Love, remember him, blasting a great chance over the bar, and Quaresma asking a question or two of Mats Hummels. But inevitably, Bayern found their breakthrough via Thomas Müller, and when Thomas Müller scores, Bayern usually win. In fact, before this match, they were unbeaten in 61 consecutive matches that Müller had scored in. That's insane. I don't know if there's any stats on whether the amount of goals he scores leads to a bigger deficit for Bayern to win. To be found out. He actually scored a brace on the night, as he and Lewandowski took over with a brace and an assist each. Kingsley Coman, the king of Munich, scored the other goal. By the way, if you have been counting on your fingers there, that's 5-0. And a wrap on Besiktas, isn't it? I mean, there's no way they can come back from this, right? By the way, some people were saying during the live watch along that Bayern is shit this season. But I mean, they've won 14 consecutive matches now, which ties their longest winning streak of all time. The last time they won 14 matches on the trot was back in 1980, and with their next match coming up against 11th placed Hertha Berlin, it seems likely that they'll break that 38-year-old record. Watch, I've totally jinxed them now. I pre-apologize to all of you Bayern fans in case I've messed things up for you, but I think you're going to be fine. I think. Okay, so this match was a beatdown, which was definitely affected by the 16th minute red card. They played 74 minutes, a man down. That's a long time. Besiktas were outshot 35-6, of course, with Fabry making 7 great saves. He played his heart out. So is it too early to eulogize Besiktas? Well, yes. Yes, actually, it is. And I shan't disrespect the first Turkish team ever to top a Champions League group. And most importantly, the team of Canadian football legend, Atiba Hutchinson. So on to the next match. Oh, wait, shameless plug. Since we're on the topic of Bayern Munich, if you haven't watched my player bio on Robert Lewandowski yet, then make sure you do that. Did you know that he was rejected by first division teams, second division teams, and was only signed by a third division Polish side when he was 18? What? Go watch it and learn up. Knowledge is power, baby. Okay, shameless plug over, and let's go to the Ukraine and take a look at Shakhtar vs Roma, because the Brazilians were here to play today, and damn if they didn't make things difficult for Roma. Young Turkish talent Under scored in his Champions League debut to take the visitors ahead in the first half. That was his 5th goal in his last 4 appearances, and it's only a matter of time before the big clubs of Europe start circling around Roma's 20-year-old talent. But in the second half, those aforementioned Brazilians began to chip away at Roma's defense, with Bernard, Tyson, and Marlos causing headaches before Argentinian striker Ferreira cut inside on Manolas and slid the ball under Alisson. Then, the comeback was completed as Shakhtar went ahead in the 73rd minute thanks to an incredible free kick from the supposedly Manchester City-bound Fred. Bar down free kick. Can't get any better than that. Alisson, by the way, had an incredible match in the Roma goal, making 6 saves total, including an insane save from close range to deny Shakhtar a 3rd. Piatov also had a great match for Shakhtar, making 7 saves in what was a night of incredible saves all around, really. But we'll get to that later in the Sevilla vs United match. So, Shakhtar will be leaving this one frustrated, as they probably should and could have had a couple more goals, if not for Alisson's insane display in goal. But they will be happy that they at least go to Roma with a lead. A 1-1 draw would have been a tricky sea to navigate for them, considering Roma are decent at home. In the group stage, they won twice, including a 3-0 win over Chelsea, and drew once with Atletico. I personally still have Shakhtar making it through, but again, Roma at home, anything can happen. Okay, now, United vs Sevilla, which was a little entertaining. I mean, it wasn't super entertaining from a United point of view, but if you're a Sevilla fan, you certainly had fun watching this one. Or maybe you just had fits of rage watching Murillo. Anyway, I know that I had fits of rage watching the amount of gamesmanship from the Sevilla players. I'm looking at you, Correa and Vasquez, as this match was bogged down at times from the amount of fouls called, with 22 against United and 12 against Sevilla. Funnily enough, Juan Mata had the most fouls for United with 5. Manchester showed signs of intent with long balls up to Lukaku, who was a handful for centre-backs Mercato and Lenglet. Then again, finishing from a great position with very little pressure was too much of a handful for Lukaku, who bizarrely, for some reason, chose to shoot with his instep on 24 minutes instead of just putting his laces through it. Yeah, he skied it. No one else on United did much better, however, as keeper Sergio Rico had an easy night where he only needed to make 1 save from just 6 shots attempted by United. On the complete opposite side of the coin, Sevilla had shot after shot after shot after shot as they outchanced United 26-6 with 8 shots on target, meaning David De Gea was a busy man. Some of the saves he made were just ridiculous, like this one. Almost as ridiculous as calling him David. It's David. Come on.
In the half strongly. In he goes towards Muriel. What a save, David De Gea.
Right? By the way, that was the most saves made by a Manchester United goalkeeper in the Champions League since 2011 when Edwin van der Sar made 8 against Barcelona in the Champions League final. They lost 3-1 though. De Gea has been the real hero of United's season thus far, which is pretty sad to say when you're talking about a big club like United, who used to be a ton of fun to watch in the attack, and who always seemed to have goals in them when they needed them. Now, you'd get more enjoyment watching a Tony Pulis-led curling team than you would watching United. Okay, perhaps that's a stretch, but you get my point. I'm one of Lukaku's biggest critics, but I don't even blame the guy in this case, as he only had 2 attempts on goal. 2! He should have scored the first, but it's so obvious that Mourinho's boring, defensive tactics are a detriment to players like Lukaku and Pogba. My god, what was the point of the Sanchez signing? Completely ineffectual. Anthony Martial was having a great season up until that point. But back to Mourinho's focus on not conceding, because whether we like it or not, defending is part of the game. And if they aren't conceding much, then I guess they are doing something that deserves plaudits, right? Well, maybe not. See, the thing is, if United had any other keeper in goal this season, these tactics wouldn't be working, really. And I mean, it's not as if this is the best defensive team in Europe that we're talking about either. Far from it. So, what's the verdict here, guys? I leave it up to you. Does Mourinho deserve all the flack that he receives for playing a defensive style? Or should we give the guy a break for his boring tactics because, hey, at least they aren't conceding that much. And with that, we're done. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you're new around here and want to help the channel out, all you gotta do is subscribe. It's easy, it's free, and you'll be able to take part in our live talk shows where you guys get to decide the topics and we talk it out live on YouTube with tons of engagement from you in the chat. It's good times. Other than that, thanks again for taking the time to watch this video and enjoy the rest of your week. Peace!